Welcome to the Village Green NBTV show on the environment in Newport Beach. I'm Nancy Gardner, your host, and today we have two sort of different things. One is Surfrider's program, Ocean Friendly Restaurants. This is an interesting program where they're trying to reduce the amount of single-use plastics in restaurants. And then the second one is we're going to be talking with a local entrepreneur who is starting a brand new business and is going much greener. So stick around. I'm here with John Wadsworth, who is the vice chair of the Newport Beach chapter of Surfrider. And let's talk a little bit before we get into our subject today, which is ocean-friendly restaurants. I know you guys have done ocean-friendly gardens in the past as well, but ocean-friendly restaurants. Let's talk a little bit about the chapter and what are some of the things that the chapter does, say, on a regular basis, and what are some of the things that you're really focusing on?
Good. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's good to see you. Good to be here with the legend who actually started the Newport Beach chapter. How many years ago?
Oh, a few.
We'll leave it at that. But I am honored to carry on the tradition in Newport. It's my 5th year with the chapter. The answer to your question, what do? I do a little bit of everything. We all have our specific titles, but those titles don't really mean we do one specific thing.
So volunteer organizations tend to be that way. You get your little core, and you guys just work your tails off, and then every once in a while somebody else comes in and goes, "Oh, I've got an hour for you."
Well said. But locally here, our responsibility or our role is to be the conduit for our local constituency around the issues that plague our ocean, beaches, and waves. And what that means, we do a lot of the beach cleanups. I mean, Blackie's is a beach that we clean a lot of, or frequently.
Now let me stop right there, because obviously the city cleans the beaches as well. We always felt, at least when I was doing beach cleanups as part of the chapter, that it was nice to do some extra cleaning. But there was another whole purpose to that. Is that still the goal there?
It is, and I think the purpose of these beach cleanups, yes, is to, first of all, every high tide, you've got a whole new wave of issues that come ashore. The city's great. Are they there every high tide? No, so we complement, I think, what the city does. But when we have beach cleanups, what I like, obviously we're doing good to get the debris off the beach, but it's the awareness that you raise with the volunteers that show up. We have anywhere from, pre-COVID, we had 200 people would show up on average to our beach cleanups.
That's great, and they're coming from not just obviously from the city, they're coming from inland.
All over. The demographic of a person that comes to the beach cleanup always surprises me, because you have a mix of locals, you have a mix of folks from out of the area, you have a mix of folks that just need the volunteer hours, you have students, you have all types. But what's really rewarding to me is after those cleanups, maybe you reach 10% of the 100 or 200 people there that actually come and say to you, my gosh, there really is an issue with the marine pollution that's washing up, with the plastic that's washing up. So it validates kind of why we do what we do. If you reach a certain amount of people, that then they go out and tell their friends, so the word sort of spreads, the awareness spreads, and then that can really move the needle on changing behavior and making a real scalable impact.
Well, and what I always liked about it was the fact that it got the message inland. We are most aware because we're so close to the water all the time, and a lot of us are in the water a lot of times. But if you come down from Riverside or Tustin or place inland a couple of times a year in the summer or something, you don't quite make that connection. You might see some bottles on the beach or something, but you don't necessarily associate your behavior with what's happening down here. And the beach cleanup is just such a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, it is. And that's one of the great things with Surfrider is it's not just tackling the issues, being reactive. It's being proactive, getting upstream of the issues, because Surfrider is known for its beach cleanups, for its local issue, its local activism. But what Surfrider, behind the scenes, what a lot of people don't understand is that we are with our local government, we're with the state government, with the federal government, lobbying for change that's going to ultimately solve the problem upstream of the issue before it gets to the beach. So that's one of the things that drew me to Surfrider, was we can burn it at both ends, tackle the issue at both ends, and really, again, make a scalable impact. And what you asked about what we're doing at the chapter level, and along the lines of getting upstream of the issues, 2 years ago, we adopted a 1 mile stretch of the Santa Ana River. The Santa Ana River being the largest watershed in Southern California. It's, it's 100 miles long from Huntington Beach, Newport, to the San Gabriel.
Way, yeah.
There's a population of 6 million people that live in that watershed. Unfortunately, not all of those 6 million people are responsible with their trash, so it makes its way into the streets. Streets drains river, Santa Ana River to the ocean. So we thought at Surfrider, at least locally here, and actually we partnered with Huntington Beach on this project, is get upstream of the issue. Again, you're going to hear that word a lot today. Get upstream of the issue. 1 mile stretch. When we first got into this 1 mile stretch, the trash in there was unbelievable. It had been there for so many years, just sort of washes up, sort of builds up with every storm.
And that doesn't help water quality, because bacteria and stuff.
The stuff that's in that river, I mean, if people saw what was in that river, you would never go in the ocean after it rains. I mean, you would abide by the 72-hour rule. I don't personally. I like the surf. Waves are always good
that's
after.
Right. Yeah, we know that.
Anyway, we've had 5 cleanups this year. We average about 1,000 pounds of trash each cleanup, and it's the rainy season is upon us. So I like to think that we made a real dent, a real impact in what reaches our oceans this rainy season. So. Again, that's where Newport
certainly helps with the first flush.
Right, and flush is the right word. Yeah. So when you get a big rain, it flushes the,
Well, and I think the other part that is important is not just the awareness that we get inland, but the fact that awareness creates pressure. Because I know, as a former city council person, dealing with city issues and then dealing with people, cities inland, they've got their own issues. They've got their own streets to pave and that sort of thing, and it's hard to get them to focus on, hey, you need to improve your trash interceptors and that sort of thing, because it's fouling beaches. Right. But if we can convince them and say, look, you people in Tustin, you people in Fullerton, wherever it is, what you're doing is making your trip to the beach maybe not as pleasant, then they can start to push that pressure on their councils to say, no, we all have to work on this together, not just Newport at the end of it.
Oh, that's
right. I think that's why those are so valuable. All right, well, so that's a general picture. Let's talk about ocean-friendly restaurants. So tell us about the concept, tell us how it's going.
Well, so yeah, ocean-friendly restaurants, OFR for short. So we talked about a little bit about the issues that plague our oceans and beaches and waves. Some of the statistics around an OFR is really targeted towards single-use plastic, and they're trying to eliminate that at the source.
Okay, so single-use plastics, we mean what exactly?
Well, anything that you use,
toss.
And you use for maybe a minute or two and toss.
Bottle?
A plastic water bottle, plastic cutlery,
plastic bag,
plastic bags that you get your stuff with, plastic takeout containers, take out food, any of the little hot sauce packages, ketchup packages.
Oh yeah,
all
don't think about all that little stuff.
That is all single use, what we consider to be single use.
And when you do beach cleanups, what do you find most of?
Well, that's a loaded question, because that's exactly what we find. And it's, if you go back to what we do here locally, in the year before COVID, our last full year of beach cleanups, we picked up in here in Newport 7,000 pounds of trash. In about 40.
Okay, just let me stop a minute. I want everybody to think about that. Yep. 7,000 pounds of trash, that's in addition to all the machine cleaning that goes on. God knows how many tons that is, but that's in addition.
In addition. So this is just Surfrider. And if you see what we pick up, it is not heavy. It's small pieces of plastic. It's small pieces of styrofoam. We fill, the 60-gallon trash cans that you see on the beach. We'll fill 1 to 2 of those each cleanup, and those. If you weighed the trash that goes into those each cleanup, it's maybe 40 or 50 pounds. It's not a lot
of little light stuff.
Of little light stuff. So you can imagine the volume.
We're not talking about a bunch of rocks.
No rocks. And people come to the beach cleanups thinking they're going to be picking up big, heavy pieces of trash. It's not. It's the small pieces. It's the microplastic. That's the worst part of. I mean, it's the most daunting part of our job at Surfriders, because this stuff is already broken down. It's already in the marine environment. The birds, fish, turtles, dolphins.
And then humans.
And then ultimately, if you like to eat seafood, which I think we all do here in Newport, that makes its way into our ecosystem.
And I think that we have talked a lot about the Pacific gyre and the birds, and I don't think people, and not because the other species aren't important, but because this is the way you get things done, is say, hey, this is a health issue for humans as well.
Absolutely.
And I think the more we can get that message through, that particularly with children, say, getting some of this, and for a lifelong time, what issues may arise, I think that's an important message to get across as well, because we're very selfish and we like to take care of ourselves first.
It's absolutely, I mean, the health impacts are not, we don't know yet what the health impacts are from ingesting plastic. I mean, plastic is in every corner of the world. Every year about 11 million tons of plastic makes its way into the ocean. That's if you do the math on it, it's like 1 ton every 4 seconds. I mean, it's just insane. I mean, as we're sitting here talking, I mean, how many tons have made its way into the ocean? So,
and I think that's the other thing, is that we have less of it, in a sense, than some. I mean, you can go to other areas, and because at least along our coastline, we have done a lot of things to try to improve that, and we're continuing to work, as you are, with getting that message inland and stuff. We are, as bad as it is here, we are way ahead of a lot of the rest of the world.
We are, and it's, you go around the world. It's a conversation probably for another day, but it's when people say, well, it's not so bad. I mean, that to me tells a story right there. Like I said before, every high tide, I've been fortunate to live around the beach or near the beach my entire life. I walk my dog every morning, and I see what's on the beach every morning. It's every single high tide.
Well, now, are you an international surfer? Do you go to Indonesia or stuff and see what we've done there?
That's a great question, Nancy, because one of the reasons I ended up getting involved in Surfrider in the first place, like I said, I've been with the chapter 5 years. Probably 7-8 years ago, I was fortunate to travel to the Indian Ocean to surf the Maldives. And the Maldives are this pristine island chain in the Indian Ocean. You take a boat, you travel around the islands, and these islands aren't, 90% of them are not inhabited. So one particular day, and where the story is going, we were surfing, it was a big day, leash broke, I had to swim in to grab a board on this deserted island. I get all the way in, see the board on the beach. As I'm grabbing the board, I look around the ring of the island, and I'm like, my gosh, what is that? It was layers and layers of plastic.
God.
That every high tide, every big tide had just pushed it in and built it.
It should be a virgin island.
There's nobody there. There was nobody around for for tens of thousands of miles, other than a couple of the main islands. And it looked like if you've seen a snowbank, it was just layers and layers. So that to me really opened my eyes to the issue, and then started educating myself more and more. I mean, I knew the problem existed. That was like the tipping point for me.
Well, yeah.
Time to at least try to make a dent in this, hopefully leave this place a little better for my kids, and the next generation, because our generation has screwed this up.
Oh, and mine did even more, and my parents even, of course, I think anyway, we will go.
I know, we're going down a rabbit hole.
Back to ocean-friendly restaurants.
Yes, we got way on a huge tangent there. But obviously there's a problem out there. Again, Surfrider is trying to get upstream of the problem before it reaches the beaches and oceans. And one of the reasons to do that, it would be to approach, nothing against restaurants. I love all 300 of our restaurants in Newport, but they do produce a lot of the single use that makes its way onto our beaches. So Surfrider a few years ago came up with a program called Ocean Friendly Restaurants, which basically is a blueprint for restaurants to become more sustainable and ultimately go towards reuse versus single use. Just reuse in general. That's really the Surfrider way, is just reuse whenever you can versus trying to find alternatives for.
All right, so that's an interesting point. Reuse versus alternatives, because there are, I know, having listened to a number of presentations, that there are alternatives to styrofoam. There are, for most of these containers, for example, there are alternatives. There are alternatives to plastic spoons and everything. I don't know if there are alternatives to to ketchup packets, except that the ketchup bottle itself.
That's right.
But so when you talk about reuse, what do you mean there?
So I mean, reusable containers. You
mean if I go out, I come to your restaurant, I guess I'm getting food to go because I don't want to cook tonight. I'm going to bring those back. I mean, what I do is I reuse everything myself. I mean, I just, okay, I can reuse that for something else. But is that the idea that next time I come in, I would bring back that container and you would then just...
That is an extreme version of what we're trying to do with ocean-friendly restaurants. That's maybe the next generation.
Okay, all right, so we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. The point we...
And maybe we don't want to go there.
It's...
I'm just thinking because so much of this is, it's your balancing act of, okay, then we have to wash the container. And they really have to wash it if they're going to reuse it. So, I mean, those are things we always have to think about. But anyway.
For sure. But there are alternatives for every scenario.
Okay.
And so the single-use scenario, and back to ocean-friendly restaurants.
Right.
So like I said, it's a roadmap, it's a blueprint to get restaurants more sustainable and raise awareness and ultimately change behavior. And how that's done is, so there's a checklist to become ocean friendly. A restaurant has to go through a checklist. There's mandatory, 7 mandatory items, and then there's a second list of voluntary items.
Okay, so let's start. What are some of the mandatory items?
So it's the obvious ones. It's reuse whenever possible. Reuse when you're dining in restaurant. So you're not plastic plates and disposable stuff. It's all reusable once you're there. And then the ocean friendly component of it is the takeout items. If you do takeout, they have to be sustainable. And it's not the plastic takeout container. It's no plastic water bottles, no plastic bags. It's alternatives to each of those individual items. Okay. And like I said, there are today it's a much easier conversation because there are alternatives. There are vendors out there that specialize in exactly what we're talking about. It does cost a little more. So restaurants, right now, especially the last year and a half through COVID, restaurants got crushed.
Yeah.
So this program was shut down for basically a year and a half during COVID for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But now we're ramping it back up, and the restaurants are as busy as they've ever been. And this conversation is easier now because margins are thin, but they're getting better. So like I said, it's an easier conversation now. But the 7 mandatory criteria, and I could go through. I could send you guys the list instead of going through all of them. But and then the voluntary side of it again is really again to do with takeout food. But it's everything is sustainable. I mean, just think of that as the restaurant experience being sustainable. And once a lot of restaurants are really, really close to being ocean friendly. There's maybe 1 or 2 pieces, like they give takeout food with a plastic bag. It's a simple fix, really simple fix. You can tell people, we'll give you a discount if you bring your own coffee mug in.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a really easy way. Or alternatively, we'll charge you more if you want to use our cup. And then that gets people thinking, you know what, if I bring mine, I'm going to save money. And by the way, it's pretty convenient to have my own mug. My favorite mug at home.
And I know how clean my mug is. I have to take your word that way.
So it's like I said, it's a way to raise awareness, change people's behavior, and then ultimately, makes a real scalable impact. And the restaurants here in Newport, Newport, our chapter is just starting to ramp up. There's only 7 ocean-friendly restaurants right now in Newport, and we're on our way. So if any restaurants are listening right now, we're gonna be talking to you very shortly.
All right. Well, first of all, if I'm very conscientious and I really like your idea, so I'm going to patronize the restaurants that are ocean friendly. Can I go on Surfrider's
Yes.
website and find them?
You can. So
Okay.
Surfrider, just Google Surfrider Newport, ocean-friendly restaurants.
Okay.
Or you'll that it's easy.
Okay.
There's a map, actually a map. There's, I think, 800 ocean-friendly restaurants now in the U.S. There's a huge concentration down in San Diego. San Diego chapter's done a great job with this program. They're actually the
They've always
the
been
founder,
an awesome chapter.
right? They've been. I mean, they are the leaders, and our we look up to everything they're doing and
they've
trying to
always
emulate
been
it.
sensational.
But they've done a great job, and but when you become ocean friendly too, there's signage that that you as the restaurant owner can put up in your restaurant,
Okay.
so you'll see it when you walk in. We'll promote Surfrider locally and nationally. We'll promote all the ocean friendly restaurants. I mean,
Oh, okay.
locally we'll do mixers. We'll host our monthly meetings at the ocean friendly restaurants to get to bring business back to the restaurant. So it's once you sign up, it's not forget about you. We'll continue to promote what you're doing and patronize you. And I think people in Newport, coastal communities, embrace this when they understand it. My biggest challenge at the chapter level in Newport is just getting people to understand the issues. There are so many restaurant owners that don't understand the issues. The 11 million metric tons in the ocean every year. The fact by 2050, if we do nothing, there'll be more plastic in the ocean than fish. I mean, that's a statistic that's used a ton, but people don't understand it.
So right now you're approaching what, one at a time, each restaurant? Is that how it's working?
Well, that's the model. It's one restaurant at a time. One restaurant, one consumer. But as you know, at the last Water Quality and Tideland Committee meeting, I made a presentation to the committee about ocean-friendly restaurants and how the city could potentially partner with Surfrider to roll out this program. So more of a top-down. Again, Surfrider hits it from both sides. So we try to get some sort of messaging out to the restaurant community that this is something the city supports. I mean, in a perfect world, the city incentivizes restaurants to to take this type of action. I think the city pays, $800 to $1 million a year to clean exactly what we're talking about off the beaches. If they could put it, again, go to the source, reduce that, you've got some real economic impact that you could make through this program.
And I think you've got some restaurant associations that you can approach as well. But for a last question, when you do sit down with a restaurant owner and you've gotten past the first thing of here's the information in case you weren't aware of it, are you finding it a hard sell, an easy sell? People buy in pretty easily, or what?
They all want to buy. They are all on board immediately. In my experience, the challenge is, what does it look like economically for me as a restaurant owner?
Of course,
and how does it impact my margins?
There's always that.
And it's it's switching from this. Plastic is so inexpensive, and that's our biggest challenge. How do you find an alternative that can compete with the cost of plastic cutlery, plastic takeout containers, plastic bags?
We used to use lead pipe.
We survived for years. Our generation, your generation,
and
somehow we did it.
Well, but that's not very good, so we switched, so maybe we can get the same thing. Well,
exactly.
Well, John, I think it's a great program, and I think it's so perfect for Newport. But what I like about it, again, is it's something you could move inland so easily, because there are a lot of people that live inland that surf here.
Oh, yeah.
Love to surf, but just can't, because of their job or whatever, just housing prices, can't live down here. And they would love to see a program like that and go to restaurants like that and support them, because they're helping their favorite sport, which is critical.
This program works everywhere. Doesn't have to be. Coastal's obvious, and that's probably the first target for us is, go local, go beach, and then go inland. But we have, some of the restaurants we have are in Irvine. They're in Costa Mesa. They're not at the beach, so. It's a program that people relate to everywhere.
Good. Well, I'm just going to make a suggestion that if you have a favorite restaurant that you go to, why don't you start talking to your owner there about ocean-friendly restaurants and let him know how to get in touch with Surfrider, because I think this is just a natural for our city.
Yeah. Agreed. I would love that. That'd be great. If that's the way this really starts to make a difference, is if people start asking for it.
And if somebody wanted to contact you?
So Surfrider Newport, you can just Google the chapter. My contact information, John Wadsworth, is on the leaders page, and you can reach out to me via email or cell phone anytime.
Oh, great. Well, thanks,
Great.
John.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. My pleasure.
Well, I'm here, Wende Zomnir, and
Hi, Nancy.
we know each other from tennis.
Yes.
And you're also a volleyball player.
I do
Beach volleyball.
play some beach volleyball.
A lot of beach volleyball, a lot of tennis, a lot of other things. But you are known in the business world for having started a very successful company, which was Urban Decay.
Yes, makeup company.
Yes. And L'Oreal bought you out.
They bought us 12, almost 13 years ago.
It's been that long?
It has been that long, yeah.
So you've been a part of the corporate world, really the formal corporate world for a while, and now you're starting a new adventure.
Yes.
And it's again involving products for the face and body?
It's still
or what?
beauty.
All right, it's beauty.
But it's definitely more of a lifestyle orientation. So, you know, my wheelhouse is makeup. So that's what I'm diving into first, but we're also doing some fun lifestyle things like a beanie made from, you know, upcycled plastic bottles, and some lifestyle things that bring in this whole, you know, world we love here in Newport Beach, Southern California culture, all of the wellness that we all enjoy. You know, this is definitely the breeding ground for health trends. And so we're trying to bring all of that into the makeup space.
Okay, so what's the name?
It's called Caliray.
Caliray,
So,
all
yeah.
right. Is that K or C?
It's a C, so it's like Cali
All right,
and then
just
Ray.
We're not trying to be too cute here. All
No.
right, good. So I know that we all love products and hope that they'll all make us look 20 years younger, and I'm sure that yours do. But what really piqued my interest was the fact that you are doing, as you say, you're recycling things, you're upcycling things, and you're looking at your packaging. And so tell us a little bit about the green aspect of your new venture.
Yeah, the green aspect is definitely one of the pillars of the business. Sustainability is what we were built on. There's plenty of beauty brands out there, but so much beauty packaging ends up in the trash. And I am one of the worst offenders. I had a huge beauty company that sold millions and millions of pieces of product. And I have to say though, I have been looking at like, okay, I heard about this like corn plastic. How can we make that work? And it wasn't really at a place where it was functional. You know, by the time you shipped it where it needed to go and everything else, you had negated the green effects of it. But we've come such a long way, and I really felt like it was important to create a brand that if it was going to speak to clean and to wellness, it also had to speak to sustainability. So we've created a mascara. The tube is 100% upcycled ocean plastic.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and then we decorated it with low impact inks so that it can be recycled. Again, a lot of times you can have post-consumer recycled plastic, but if you metalize it, it's done. You can't put it back into the stream. So we wanted this to go again and again and again.
This must have been a really interesting learning process.
It was
because I think we're
crazy
all like
learning.
that. Like, okay, this is recyclable, but we have learned over the last decade in particular that there's recyclable and really recyclable.
Right. It's true. And, you know, beauty packaging is really hard to recycle. So even though we've done all of this, if you put that mascara tube in your curbside recycling bin, it probably won't get recycled because it is smaller than a yogurt cup. So I think that's what people don't really understand is these little tiny pieces, they can't get sorted by those curbside machines. So what we've done is we've partnered with a company called Pact Collective, and you can go into our website, you can get a shipping label, you can pile up all your beauty empties, Caliray or not. You put them in an envelope, you ship them to Pact, and they have a specialty recycling center that handles beauty packaging.
Oh, that's really
cool. And then we pay for the recycling. So the customer pays for the shipping label. It's pretty nominal, like $5. You can save up 10, 12 beauty packages, pop them in the mail, and we will take care of the recycling for you.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and hopefully someday that smaller stuff will get to curbside. You know, everything's always changing and evolving, and one of the things we said is like, we're never done with this project. So we may come back and go, okay, we have a you know, product that might be in like a bioplastic, but maybe we figured out how to do it differently, so we'll switch that out. Like we're always trying to like look and improve and do things differently because the technology is getting better and better with recycling.
Okay, so you've really paid attention to your packaging. Now the products themselves, are there ways that you can be greener in just producing them or in the materials you use?
Yeah, so we all of our products subscribe to the Sephora Clean standard, which is good for you and good for the planet generally. And so we do try to look at those materials that we're using. So, you know, most everything in our ingredients of the products we've launched has been, you know, really like low impact people and planet. You know, we've done some things with like pencils. Pencils are tough because you sharpen them and there is that like stuff that comes off, and we haven't figured that out completely yet.
You make it edible.
But we made it out of sugarcane plastic.
Oh, okay, so it is edible.
So it's not edible, but it's not quite as bad as a virgin petroleum-based plastic. So
what you're getting away from a lot of is a lot of petroleum, which is also healthier. I can remember I had a friend who worked at one of the natural cosmetic companies once, and I looked at the thing and I thought, this is a farce. I mean, because it was all petroleum.
Right.
But it had the nice label, so you're trying to find the other
Right,
source.
and there's not 100% non-petroleum based products in there. I mean, but very little. I think one of the differences, a lot of clean-based products, you may not get the performance, but me being from a company that was like founded on, you can wear this and dance all night, I really felt like I wanted something that like, okay, if I, you know, decided I wanted to jump in the ocean, the mascara would stay on and the pencils would stay on, and, you know, so I wanted something that was also performance. So we're definitely straddling that line, and then we're always improving.
So you're going to have, you say you're starting off with a cosmetics line, and that is what, the full eye makeup?
Well, right now we have a mascara and an eye pencil.
Okay.
3 shades.
All right.
And we'll continue to add to that. Top secret, coming soon. And then we have some fun lifestyle items that we're just adding into the mix that will come in and out of the line.
So now, are you also going to get skincare, or is that?
I think we may dabble in it a little bit, but it would be not as a skincare line, but more like
Healthy.
a functional thing. Like, okay, I've created this, like I'm working on a sleeping mask that's made out of some really interesting, you know, ocean-based ingredients. And something like that may tie into another wellness item, and we may put those out there as a package. So it's not really about skincare, it's definitely more about makeup.
Okay.
But
so tell me, wellness, what does that mean in terms of what you're doing?
So we are looking at products that you may put on your face that make the skin more hydrated, add benefits, functionally, not functionally, but, well, some things are functional. Like we have some prickly pear and some upcoming products. It's really, you know, functionally hydrating. So
I mean,
it's adding
would that
hydration.
Be like a foundation that hydrates or something?
Yes.
Or?
Yes,
Okay,
things
so,
like that. So we're definitely working on those kinds of products. And we're just looking at trying to create products that are good for you and have, you know, a wellness aspect to them. And, you know, maybe some inside out beauty products as well. So we'll see.
right.
We'll see what's coming.
All right,
You're
so
good at like getting these things out of me very subtly.
So you start Urban Decay. You must have been a child.
Not that much of a child, but yeah, I wasn't 30.
Yeah.
So
and so, what was your focus then, as compared to say now? You probably, were you married at that point?
I wasn't married.
And you didn't have children.
I didn't have children. No.
So now you are married and do have children, and so the difference in starting a company then as a young woman, independent, with nothing probably to lose at that point, except.
Right.
Maybe a house, roof over your head. And today, when you've got a lot of other responsibilities as well.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, I'm older now, so and I've been through this before, so I know how to do it. I feel like I have a lot of relationships in the industry. So I really felt like it was, yes, there's more at stake, but there's also less risk because I've done this before. And I think, you know, a lot of times, you know, it's great to have like youth and energy, and you know, I've got that with Jenna, who's partnered with me, and I love that I can bring like the experience to it, and I love having a fresh perspective. Like I didn't stop being creative because I got older. So I wanted to continue that creative process, and my sort of, you know, creative expression is through this beauty industry, and I really love it and enjoy it, and I love working with the people, and I just feel like there's a lot of opportunity out there, so I wanted to keep going.
You missed You missed a good cue though. I was feeding you, which is you tie in the green. I would assume that part of that is the fact that you do have children and you do have one, that you live at the beach, so you're conscious of just the ocean and that stuff. But that with the family, I mean, I find that I become more concerned because, I mean, if it was just me, I go, what the hell, I'm gonna be dead.
Right. But
because I've got grandchildren and everything, I want the world to be better, and hopefully.
Well, there's definitely that as well. And, you know, we do see it. I mean, part of the inspiration for this project was I was on a surf trip with my family. We were surfing in front of this beautiful island, and I was like, well, the waves are pretty big. I'm going to take a break while the boys all surf. And I paddled to the island, and I was shocked to find out it was filled with trash and bottles.
This is so funny because we were just talking to someone from Surfrider, and he'd been to the Maldives. Was this where you were?
This is
same
where
place?
I was.
And
he had the same place.
Experience of leash breaking, swimming in, and going, oh my God! And that's why he got involved with Surfrider.
Yeah, it's there's that. It's definitely, you know, I researched everything when my kids were young. I built a house that was healthy interior. I actually built Urban Decay. People don't realize this, but you know, when we built out all the workstations and everything else, we made them with formaldehyde-free particle board so they wouldn't off-gas.
So this isn't this health issue. I mean, approaching from the wellness issue is not something brand new.
No, it's not something brand new at all. I mean, I was like I was offering yoga to my employees up at Urban. You know, I had a organic raised bed vegetable garden in one of our buildings. You know, we plowed out the grass that was sucking up water, and we installed a raised bed vegetable garden, and the employees could like take fruits and vegetables home. So that the wellness aspect is definitely always something that's been in my life. And it didn't really get expressed through Urban Decay. It was just these like quirky, cool things about the office. But it was really an undercurrent, and Caliray's really been an opportunity to completely express that through the brand.
Well, that's exciting. So you are in Newport. Is that where the business is going to be headquartered, do you think?
I hope it stays in Newport. You know, it's been my business home for a really long time, and my home, and I love working here, and I love being able to take breaks and be near the beach. So yeah, I'd love to keep it in Newport.
Well, I think this is exciting. As someone who's, I have Urban Decay products because Paul used to bring it to me. Paul Blank, who worked for you, and you know, they're very nice, very good products. You were known for that. I mean, that Urban Decay was very excellent quality, and usually say that you could wear them every place and know that they weren't going to run down your face and all that sort of thing. No matter how sad the movie was, you were going to be all right.
Well, you're going to be okay, right?
But to take it with this new level, I think to me that's exciting, because you're right. I mean, you cannot reach zero in most cases. There's always going to be a certain amount of plastic or petroleum or something. It's almost impossible to avoid. But to try to do as much as you can to do that, and that I think with your packaging, and I'm assuming that that's part of your marketing message as well. That's the message out in a huge way to people who might not, that may be the way they approach it. You know, they're into their makeup, and they see this sort of thing and they go, oh, yeah.
Well, you can have it both ways, and it's, I'm telling you, it's not an easy thing to do, to find these materials and use them in the right way and make it so they can be recyclable again. I mean, even the boxes, we're using 100% post-consumer recycled paper, and we're not putting any shiny coatings or anything, so that forces us to be incredibly creative with our design in order to make these things stand out. Like, we're not stamping them with foil or making them glossy or doing anything crazy to them.
But that must be hard. I mean,
it's
part
really
of it just because you just like, this would look so great if we had it.
It's exactly. So you have to pull back and go, okay, well, we can't do that. What can we do that makes this box pop off the shelf, makes people want to touch it, check it out, in addition to the products being great. So there's definitely a design and a creative challenge when you're using more sustainable materials. And the great thing is, the more we do it, the more other brands do it, the more the industry that's behind us, the supply chain, comes to the party with more solutions that we can tap into. So, you know, I look back at like 18 years ago trying to source the corn plastic, right? And how far we've come since then, and what's possible now. in terms of recycled papers that you can print on and look nice and everything else. I mean, we've come such a long way. And I think, when customers buy into this message of sustainability, they're only going to be buying themselves more choices in the future.
So now, is the product ready now? Available?
It is. So it is available on CalirayBeauty.com, and we will be launching with a retailer at the end of the year. So
well, things are really coming fast. But right now, spell that out for there. So
okay, it's CALIRAY Beauty.com.
Okay.
And we've got.
So you can look great and feel good about the environment. Hey, that's
great.
Talk about your win-win.
It is a win-win.
Well, thanks, Wendy.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
All right. Well, that's our show. And until next time, let's all work on making our village green.